The night police entered the small suburban home marked the end of a nightmare for one 13-year-old girl. Behind those walls was a dark secret that would shake the community and expose the horrifying actions of a man living a double life. What looked like an ordinary house in a quiet neighborhood was, in truth, the scene of a crime, the captivity of a child. This is the story of how officers discovered a young girl trapped with a child predator and how courage, persistence, and quick action saved her life. It began with a tip. Local authorities had received an online alert involving suspicious messages between an older man and a young girl. The conversations hinted at grooming, manipulation, and a planned meeting. The suspect, a 38-year-old man named James Mansfield, was already on the police's radar for questionable behavior online, but no one knew how far he had gone. Investigators started tracing his digital footprint, uncovering multiple fake profiles, coded communications, and attempts to contact minors. As they dug deeper, one name kept reappearing, a missing 13-year-old from a nearby town. The pattern was clear. The two were connected. Law enforcement officials quickly mobilized. This wasn't just another cyber case. They feared a child was in immediate danger. The police coordinated a multi-unit operation, briefing officers on the situation. Every step had to be handled with precision. Any mistake could put the victim at risk. Surveillance teams monitored Mansfield's movements. They tracked his car, his online activity, and his bank transactions. What they discovered pointed to one chilling conclusion. The girl was being held against her will. The raid took place just after midnight. Officers surrounded the quiet street, flashlights cutting through the darkness. They approached the house carefully, aware that one wrong move could alert the suspect. As they entered, silence filled the air. Room by room, they moved methodically, clearing corners, calling out. Then, from behind a closed door, they heard faint movement, the sound of someone trying not to be heard. One officer stepped forward, announcing himself. "Police, is anyone in here?" No answer. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a dimly lit room. There, sitting on a small mattress, was a young girl, pale, frightened, and trembling. The officers immediately recognized her from the missing persons report. She was the 13-year-old they had been searching for. Her eyes filled with tears as the officers entered. One gently told her, "You're safe now. We've got you." She nodded, barely able to speak. They quickly wrapped her in a blanket and let her out while other officers secured the area. Moments later, they found Mansfield in another room, attempting to erase files on his laptop. He didn't resist when they took him into custody, almost as if he knew it was over. The house was a disturbing sight. Investigators found hidden cameras, locked storage drives, and piles of documents that hinted at months of planning. Mansfield had carefully crafted a false identity to lure the girl, pretending to be a teenage boy online, gaining her trust, then manipulating her emotions until she agreed to meet him. From there, he isolated her, cutting her off from family and friends, feeding her lies that no one was looking for her. The reality was much darker than anyone could have imagined. After the rescue, officers rushed the girl to safety. She was given immediate medical attention, and a team of counselors was assigned to help her through the trauma. She was dehydrated, terrified, and emotionally shattered, but alive and finally out of danger. In her first interview with detectives, she described how Mansfield had tricked her into trusting him. He told her stories about being misunderstood, promised her love and safety, and convinced her to run away. Once she arrived, everything changed. He controlled what she ate, when she slept, and even what she could say. For days, she thought no one would ever find her. Meanwhile, detectives interrogated Mansfield at the precinct. He tried to appear calm, claiming the girl had come willingly, but the evidence told another story. Digital forensics revealed hundreds of messages, videos, and plans that showed intent, manipulation, and predatory behavior. Under pressure, his composure began to crack. Detectives confronted him with the data, the fake profiles, the grooming tactics, the messages where he boasted about never getting caught. Cornered by facts, Mansfield finally admitted to what he had done. He confessed to luring the girl online, meeting her, and keeping her hidden in his home for several days. The case sent shockwaves through the community. Parents were terrified. Schools began holding emergency sessions on online safety. The story dominated headlines for weeks, with many struggling to comprehend how someone could deceive a child so thoroughly, and how it could happen right under everyone's nose. Police emphasized that Mansfield's methods were calculated and meticulous. He had researched his victim, learned her habits, and used emotional manipulation to break her sense of judgment. For the girl, the road to recovery would be long. Trauma counselors worked closely with her family to help rebuild trust and confidence. She struggled with guilt and confusion, emotions common among victims of grooming. But over time, she began to heal. Her family stood by her side every step of the way, grateful that she had been found before it was too late. "She's strong," her mother later said in an interview. "She's been through something no child ever should, but she's fighting to move forward." James Mansfield faced multiple charges, including kidnapping, child exploitation, and possession of illicit material. The court hearings revealed more disturbing details, that he had used similar tactics with other minors online, though this was the first case that escalated to abduction. Prosecutors described him as a predator who weaponized the internet to hunt innocents. He was sentenced to a lengthy prison term, ensuring he could no longer harm another child. The officers who took part in the rescue were later commended for their bravery and quick response. Their teamwork had saved a life. But for many, the case served as a painful reminder of the hidden dangers children face online. Experts explained that predators often use attention, empathy, and promises to manipulate their victims. Not threats or force, but emotional control. It's a type of abuse that's harder to see, but just as dangerous. The incident led to new initiatives in the community. Schools partnered with law enforcement to teach digital safety. Parents were encouraged to talk openly with their children about online relationships. The message was clear: awareness saves lives. The internet can connect, but can also deceive, and predators thrive on secrecy. Months after the ordeal, the girl spoke publicly for the first time through a victim statement. She said, "I thought I had a friend. I thought he cared, but he was lying to me from the start. I want other kids to know that if someone online says they love you and tells you to hide it from your parents, they're not your friend, they're dangerous." Her words resonated deeply, sparking conversations across the country about online safety and child protection. This case, like so many others, shows how predators manipulate vulnerability and exploit trust. But it also shows the power of intervention, how alert investigators, persistent officers, and one crucial tip can make the difference between tragedy and survival. The 13-year-old girl who once felt invisible now stands as a symbol of resilience. The darkness that once surrounded her was pierced by courage. The courage of officers who refused to give up, the courage of a child who survived, and the courage of a community determined to protect its own. James Mansfield's SEC. Rets are no longer hidden, and his crimes will haunt him forever. But for the girl, this chapter is closed. She is free, healing, and slowly reclaiming her future. In the end, this story isn't just about crime. It's about vigilance, compassion, and hope. It's a reminder that evil can hide behind a friendly face, that danger can live next door, and that speaking up can save a life. The predator was caught, the child was rescued, and justice was served. And though the scars remain, light has finally broken through the darkness that once held her captive. She thought no one would ever find her. Meanwhile, detectives interrogated Mansfield at the precinct. He tried to appear calm, claiming the girl had come willingly, but the evidence told another story. Digital forensics revealed hundreds of messages, videos, and plans that showed intent, manipulation, and predatory behavior. Under pressure, his composure began to crack. Detectives confronted him with the data, the fake profiles, the grooming tactics, the messages where he boasted about never getting caught. Cornered by facts, Mansfield finally admitted to what he had done. He confessed to luring the girl online, meeting her, and keeping her hidden in his home for several days. The case sent shockwaves through the community. Parents were terrified. Schools began holding emergency sessions on